Greetings and welcome to
YAS Podcast, formerly known as
YAS a Stripper Podcast.
This is our podcast, all of ours.
A podcast for all sex workers.
In this podcast, we will discuss the ins and outs, ups and downs of our lives and experiences as sex workers. I am your host, Daisy Ducati.
I am your Hopra, Gigi Holiday.
I'm your stripper queen from the north, Onyx.
I'm AM Davies, and this is YAS Podcast.
Hi, you're listening to YAS Podcast, aka YAS a Stripper Podcast, and this is Lisa Michelle, and I'm your host today. We have AM Davies as our producer. Say hello.
What's up? Hey,
How
this
are
is
you
fun. I'm great. I'm so excited.
Because you're not the one doing the interview.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I still get to like hang out and chat and like be heard because I was, with this new program, I've been talking to some like marketing geniuses and they're like, oh, like your voice should stay consistent throughout the whole podcast. I'm like, oh, really? Like that's how you keep people engaged. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just have little snippets. So it's nice to only have to talk for a little bit. And then I want your voices on here, like, I don't know, aren't y'all sick of listening to me yet?
No, we love you. But
so,
it is nice to sit in a different seat sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I used to when I produced the last episode, doing all the note taking. That's what I used to do for a living. My first job after college was doing that at a recording studio.
I didn't know that.
It kind of took me back. Yeah, I used to sit in recording sessions with voiceovers and like make notes on every little cough or like spit bubble that came out. Yeah, it's a really meticulous job.
Okay. So I hired the right person then.
Yeah. You're sitting where I used to sit. I was very underpaid for it.
Well,
it was fun though.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited for this whole series that is happening. So what you take over. You're the boss. Go.
Yeah. So if you're listening, today's episode is about elective procedures, cosmetic procedures that we get done. Today, specifically, what we're talking about is breast augmentation, which is pretty popular in our industry, and labiaplasty. And our guest today is Selena. So go ahead and say hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. It's nice to meet you. And just before we get started, what are your pronouns?
My pronouns are she, her.
Okay, great. So are mine. And do you identify as a sex worker?
I identify as a sex worker, yes, ma'am.
Cool. Me personally, I'll use the term stripper, dancer, performer, like interchangeably. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's totally fine. I've done a lot of variety of sex work, so I just say sex work because it kind of encompasses everything.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of our listeners are strippers today, so totally fine with that.
Cool. All right, so I'm really excited to talk to you. I stalked your Instagram. You are so photogenic.
Thank you.
I was looking at your pictures. I'm like, I will never have that, and it comes through when I take. It takes a lot to get that out of me, and I'm like looking at your pictures, like, oh God, she's so pretty.
It takes a super long time and a light, so.
Yeah, and most people do not realize what we go through to get those like 10 really good pictures. Like, that was 5 hours of my day. I had no one helping me. But yeah, like you are gorgeous. You are a goddess. So you picked your Instagram handle perfectly. So let's just get into what we're here to talk about today. So we're talking about procedures. I have a couple questions to, kind of guide us, but feel free to go in the direction that you want. That's usually how it happens. So you've had a breast augmentation, you've had a labiaplasty.
I have.
Do you want to talk about I guess did you get them? Well, first, how long have you been in the industry? And then let's talk about when you got those.
I've been in the industry since I was freshly 18, so I've been in the industry a lot longer than I think most people my age. I'm only 26, but I've been in it almost 10 years, so been in a while.
True veteran.
Yeah, I know, right? But getting cosmetic procedure. I had my labiaplasty actually before I entered the industry. So that was a personal choice when I was like younger. And it was kind of like my mom was like, insurance isn't going to cover it. And I knew already that like I kind of had always known that I was built, I guess, for this type of industry. And I have always been like very like, what is it? I don't want to say conceited, but meticulous about my appearance. And so for me personally, it was more of like a cosmetic choice to get my labiaplasty done. I feel like I went with a really good doctor. I was really happy with my results. I wish I had waited maybe till I was a little bit older to make a more informed decision. Granted, nothing bad happened to me. I still have all my sensations and everything, but having been older and like communicated with other people who have had a similar procedure, I know that not everybody is as lucky to have a great doctor who knows what they're doing. And I feel like, having my parents' input, I probably had, more or less risk of that happening, right? But if I was older, I think I would have been a little bit more content with my body in that area. I think I was just really young and undereducated, watching porn, that kind of thing that just made me feel very differently about what my body was
Yeah.
supposed to look like, right?
Porno pussy is a real thing. Like we're made to
Yeah,
feel like
no,
there's
really.
one pussy, and if you don't have it, then like there's something wrong with you.
Absolutely, yeah. And like especially with like, young girls, we don't often see everybody's like labia, and like labia is such a dirty word sometimes for people, but like we all have
I'm gonna
them
get it
and
tattooed
they
on me
all
just
look
because you said
different.
that.
Yeah.
um, I'm curious. Okay, so you said you talked to your parents about it. Like that takes a lot. Like I couldn't have done that. When I had my boobs done, I had my boobs done at your age, so I was about 26, and I didn't tell anybody. Only
Mm,
the guy that I was dating, who I was living with, and I actually wore really tight bras to hide it because I didn't want people to know.
mm.
That's really the confidence to be able to talk to your family about that.
Yeah. I
Wow.
don't know if it was so much confidence. I had a larger labia like when I was younger, and my family actually body shamed me really heavily, made me like called me some derogatory names, you know what I mean? Just for the looks of it, and made me feel very self-conscious. So they kind of pushed me towards it, which is why I say as I gotten older and I've become more comfortable and also more educated, you know what I mean? As we get older and we have more experiences. I'm queer, and I think as a young girl, I was very like sheltered. I was a Jehovah's Witness. I didn't have a lot of experience with like other women's
Yeah.
bodies, right? So now I do, and I'm like, oh my God, that was so normal. Why was I freaking out? Like, and it's just the body shaming, I think, for my family. So like, granted, it is comfortable, I think, to have their support through it, but also like for me, it wasn't so much of a empowering experience as I would have liked it to be. As for my breast
Yeah.
augmentation, I feel like that was 100% my choice. It was something I was really excited to do. And it was something I like shared um, at the time on Instagram. Like I was on my story and I was telling everybody, like, here's what I'm doing. Here's how I feel. Oh my God, I'm dying or I'm happy, whatever.
It is a life experience to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Breast augmentation surgery is big.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's get into that a little bit more. You said that you found a great doctor, which is
Mhm.
so hard, like
Oh,
so difficult. But you said that, you wish that you would have waited a little bit longer till you were older. Is that just because of how your family made you feel? Like you wanted to kind of own, I'm imagining you want to own your decision, like it's truly for you.
absolutely. For me, I do feel like I would have liked it to be more of my decision. I feel as though when you make such a personal decision, you should be making it for yourself. Of course, there's being in the industry, there's like pros and cons, right? But at the end of the day, you're the one that lives with the decision, whether you're at work or you're not at work. And so you have to be really happy with whatever you're doing to yourself, is my personal philosophy, right? And so getting older, I feel like I didn't maybe go into that surgery with the right mindset as I have with my cosmetic procedures as an adult. And so I feel like maybe I would have made the same decision, maybe, but who knows? Because I was too young
Yeah,
to know. But, I feel like it was more empowering to me to experience it in my 20s versus when I was a teenager, you know?
sure. Yeah. So with your breast augmentation, you were just full out there. You had like a campaign, like
Yeah,
you're
pretty
telling
much.
everybody about it. So I'm curious. So how did you go about researching that, and how did you find your doctor, and what kind of breast augmentation you ended up getting?
So I actually had lipo 360 and I went with my same doctor, but for that doctor, I had several friends at the club that I was working at actually who had gone with the same clinic, right? They didn't necessarily go with that doctor, but they're kind of like a bigger clinic. They have several different what do you call it, like locations in different cities, those types of
Okay,
clinics.
yeah.
And so I went to one in Atlanta because I'm based in North Carolina and it just made more sense for me. But I was looking at this doctor's work for like a consistent amount of time. I went in for a pre-op, and because I live close, it wasn't so strenuous for me. I know not everybody has the ability to like go and see their doctor in person, but
Hmm.
I feel like in comparison, I've had other surgeries where I didn't didn't meet the doctor first, and then I got there and I immediately realized I am uncomfortable. I am so uncomfortable with this doctor, and I actually pulled out and I lost a lot more money than I would have if I had just taken a smaller trip to go and meet that doctor in person before I put down a whole surgery amount. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. So, usually there's like if you're not familiar, listeners, usually there's like a deposit that you have to put down to secure your surgery, and it can be anywhere
Mhm.
from like $500 to $1,000. So, in this case, with this doctor that you decided to back out with, you had paid the whole amount up front?
Because usually when you do a cosmetic procedure, you have to pay the full amount before you go in for surgery.
Right.
So I didn't meet that doctor. I just flew out for the surgery. I was so uncomfortable. I was like, I would so much rather just lose out on $8,000 than mess up my whole body.
Oh, wow,
I
wow.
know.
Yeah.
Big mistake. Expensive mistake.
Wow. I guess I hadn't considered that because I financed mine, and I had met my doctor in person, but my other two doctors, I don't remember. It was such a long time ago. So now you're at this point where you're like, I'm $8,000 in the hole. So now you're looking for a new surgeon. So
Mhm.
you had already established I have to meet them in person first, which I condone for. Meet your doctor in person, even if it means you have to like make a trip across the country. If that's the person to do it, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So
Even if
did
it's
you
a
have to?
Zoom call, because I feel like you can get a vibe from somebody, even just
Yeah,
talking. I think
yes.
that had I talked to that person prior, I might have not put down a deposit.
That's true, because I did a Zoom call with a doctor, and I didn't feel that he was really getting at what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, precisely.
Did you have to pay the consult fee? Most of them do a consult fee if they're very accredited, and then
Mhm.
there's some that don't.
So most of the time when I've gotten cosmetic surgeries, I've gone to like clinics that they kind of like pump these things out, right? Like,
Yeah.
in this industry, there's specialists and then there's people who just kind of like want to get as many
Hmm.
surgeries out. So with this one, the one that I backed out of was CG Cosmetics in Miami, and I found out there was no like I didn't realize in Florida you don't have to have malpractice insurance, and they didn't let me know any of that before I flew down. So like there were
Okay.
bigger questions that I just wasn't aware that I needed to ask prior to, right? So like
Hmm.
being in North Carolina, I just assume everybody would have malpractice insurance. I didn't realize that was an option.
I didn't know that either. See, there's all these things that you don't think about before you go into it. And then after the fact, you're like, I didn't even think to ask about that. I didn't even think to ask about what kind of anesthesiology I'm going to be getting. I didn't think to ask about X, Y, and Z until after the fact.
Yes,
This is really
absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely go to a doctor that
Yeah,
is
ask
insured.
about that. Malpractice insurance, ask if they
Yeah,
carry it, if they have it. Another thing was that I thought was odd was that just shortly before surgery, they wanted me to sign things that like were concerning arbitration and things. And I just feel like
scary.
anything that you're going to be signing, especially when you were considering, signing away your rights to pursue legal action if somebody were to do
Hmm.
something that was not within the lines of what they were supposed to be doing. If you're going to be signing that right away, you should have plenty of time to think it over, to look it over, send it to attorneys.
Hmm.
It should not be something that's done an hour before surgery or even the night before surgery. Like, just,
Yes. Hmm.
yeah.
That's
So,
a red flag. Uh-huh.
yes, huge red flag.
And this is a good case for why you should have your your consult should be spaced out from the time of your surgery date. Like in my opinion, like at least a month, so you have time to maybe seek other options or get an attorney if there's like something that looks suspicious to you. The point is to not rush it, even though sometimes we feel kind of like you go into those consults and we have to remember they're still trying to sell you something. It's an elective procedure. It's not covered by insurance. So you have to kind of think like how the doctor's thinking, I need to book this many patients on my 2 surgery days a week, and I need to make sure that I get my $8,500, every hour that I'm working. So they're trying to like hit their sales quota. And I know that sounds weird, but we live in America. Yeah.
That's absolutely the truth. I mean, and
Yeah.
especially, certain states have more regulations. So I think that knowing what states have and their guidelines can help you find a better surgeon. I found that that's actually how I found my doctor in Atlanta, Dr. Fizzusi. I cannot recommend him enough. He did both my lipo and my breast augmentation, and I just felt like he was a doctor who sat down with me. Each consult I had with him, he took well over 30 minutes to ask me exactly what I want. He sat there and he was like, okay, well, actually, this is what I think. And then I would be like, actually, this is what I feel like. And then he kind of was like, okay, well, this is what I can do. So is that going to make you happy? Because if not, I don't want to promise you something I can't do. And I think any doctor that's willing to walk away from money because he's not able to give you results is probably somebody that's worth at least trying to find like a healthy medium, because not every doctor is going to be able to meet your results perfectly. We can't look at every photo that we show, right? We're all individual, and we're all unique, and we're all special.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
It's
one size fits all is not going to
guidelines.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when you met with your doctor, what did you end up deciding on together? What was the best outcome for you?
So he was really trying to talk me into a lift. I already have
Mm-hmm.
a child, and so like I had some sagging, and also one of my breasts was like slightly bigger than the other, right? So like regardless,
Common.
yeah, I was gonna have to have one implant bigger than the other. And he was like, and I think it would just give you a better look, and you'd have to have less time coming back in later down the line if you were to get a lift. But I just was like, I don't want a scar. I don't want a scar. I don't care. I don't want a scar. And this is what I want. What can you get me there? And he was like, well, I can give you the volume that you're looking for. It's just not going to be the lift that you're looking for. And I was like, that fine by me. I like a natural hang. That's just my preference.
Me too.
I don't
I
care.
don't have it, but I like it on other people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And everybody looks good with their stuff. Me personally, I feel like I just look better with a little bit of a hang. I'm short, so it kind of gives me a little bit more frame,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
What you're
so,
talking about is so important, though,
uh,
to know what you want and also what you don't want when you
yeah,
go into that, and to know like what are you trading off.
yeah.
For some people, like they want to have the lift, and they want to have that like perky tightness, and they're
Mhm.
willing to go under the muscle versus over. Did you go
I was
submuscular?
not. Yeah, I had
Okay.
to go over the muscle. I was like, I don't want to do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I have
Okay,
nothing to
well,
do with
let's talk
it.
about that. This is like a big thing when you're starting your research, and it's
I
always like the
didn't know
first
this
question.
either until my
Yeah.
pre-op. So yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah. It's the first question, like when you go on all the sites, all these boutique sites,
Mhm.
submuscular or subglandular, and like what are the
Mhm.
benefits? So for you didn't want to go under the muscle, and
Yes.
why was that?
Well, when I had talked to my doctor, the way first of all, I wanted to limit my pain as much as possible. I'm a baby. So
Hmm. It is
must
painful. Yeah.
yeah, under the muscle is way longer of a healing process because obviously they're going deeper, they're doing more, they're placing it, all that kind of stuff. But on top of that, I told my doctor that my specific goal was that I didn't care so much about, I already had double D's, right? But I had breastfed, so like I had flatness. So for me,
Hmm.
the biggest thing was that I wanted volume and I wanted cleavage. And he was like, well, going over your muscle is going to make it really easy for me to give you the cleavage that you're looking for.
Please. Yeah. Hmm.
And so I was very little convincing for me to be like less pain, more cleavage. I'm cool. But he did tell me, in about 10 years you're going to need a mesh bra because these implants are large, and they're going to
Hmm.
you are going to experience sagging over time, especially if you don't wear a bra.
Yeah. So how many years have you had them now?
I got mine done in 2022, so 3 years this May.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get into that, but first let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Are you a sex worker looking for a new podcast to listen to?
Stripped by Sia is your answer to learning about the lived experiences of those in the adult industry, with a mission to destigmatize, educate, and humanize sex workers. I am your host, Steph Sia, and you can listen to new episodes every single Sunday wherever you get your podcast. Catch you then!
Yes, it's true. We made a stripper store for your slutty lifestyle, so go and shop the core. But wait, there's more. Pole dancers, listen up. You've learned from hosts, support their growth by shopping here with us. Stripper fans, all you daddies, you can shop here too. Wear these threads in solidarity, get stuff for your boo.
It's a stripper store made with strippers in mind. Profit share with all the babes to supplement the grind. It's a stripper store made with strippers in mind. Profit share with all the babes to supplement the grind.
Shop with us at YAS, to purchase items that directly support the podcast, our guests, and 10% of profits to a stripper or sex worker charity. YAS,
And we're back. So Selena, we were talking about capsular contracture and rupture and the statistical rates that they give you when you go to have your consultation. And that can be a consideration when you're trying to decide. So how did you feel about making that choice?
Yes, so that was a huge consideration of mine. Obviously, being in the industry, we know lots of people that have experienced these kinds of things, and it can be really scary. For me, that was he had mentioned that there is a larger percentage chance with the submuscular, right? So he was like, there is going to be less of a chance if we put it over. And my doctor also said that he was like, it kind of is dependent on the person. Your body heals the way that it heals, and there's no exact science for who is more prone to capsular construction, to capsular. I forget how it's said, but
Contracture, yeah. It's like a tongue twister, yeah.
I know what it does. But he's like, there's no exact science to it. And he was like, I will prescribe you an allergy and an antibiotic medicine for after I give you a surgery that I need you to take for 90 days to try to fend that off, because your body might read it as like a foreign substance or whatever, and that's like makes you more likely to have that. And so for me, it was like, there's always going to be a risk, and it's something that I have to, just say, hopefully it doesn't happen. And I do everything that I can to not make it happen, wear my bra, take my medicine, and hope for the best.
Yes. And this is something for those of you listening that maybe you're considering having a breast aug and weighing out your options. You kind of always have to know, excuse me, you kind of always have to know that you're at some risk. Once they're in your body, you're at some risk of a rupture or contracture, one or the other, or both, hopefully not. And you want to be prepared for that. So I kind of look at mine. So I've had 3 implant surgeries and 2 ruptures. I just got mine replaced 3 weeks ago. And I did a more reconstructive. I went from under the muscle to over the muscle like you did, because I kept getting ruptures. Now they know that being like a muscle mommy increases your risk. And I was
Oh,
like heavy in
really?
the gym. Yeah, there's like articles about it. Like we have to consider that we don't really know, because implant surgeries haven't been around as long as to get as much data. We
Yeah.
kind of know some things, but we kind of don't.
Yeah.
So it's all speculative, but that's part of the reason why, and we need to make these considerations. So I kind of look at it now as like the second they're in my body, it's like a depreciating asset, like buying a car. And if I want to make sure that I'm not stuck having to finance a whole car, I should be putting money away every month for when I have them replaced. And the average implant lasts about 10 years. My first one ruptured at 7, second at like literally 3 months after 10. You get a 10-year warranty on most of them. I don't know how that's working out these days. Different companies are doing different things, but
I didn't hear about that, but
see, okay, so when you get your implants, they automatically enroll you into a warranty program, and then there's like different tiers. Like you can buy into like a different, different kind of warranty that covers more of your surgery, but essentially it covers the replacement and the removal, but it doesn't cover all the surgeon's fees. So like you get like a certain percentage that is covered and some that's not.
yeah.
But a lot of these companies, Allergan has changed their warranty policy. It used to be that they did like a full replacement, and now like they've cut away some of that. So it's good to know when you're researching, like, what is my warranty policy? What are they going to
Yeah.
give me? And then you also want to make sure that you get that implant card. This is my implant card, and it says exactly what cc's I have. I have two different size implants, two different actually models of implants to balance out my discrepancy. So
Oh,
this is all stuff like things we don't
I
think
didn't
about.
even know they gave you a card.
Yeah, they do.
That's
Everyone
so
listening. So
cool.
I'm trying
That's
to
so
hide my
cute. So
name
they give
on
you
it,
like
but
a
this is a
bag.
mentor implant card.
Oh,
And
wow.
on the back side, it shows, and those of you that are watching the video, I recommend coming and watching it, but it shows I have a 350, was it 320 cc on my left? I have a 400 cc on my right. And the
Oh,
right is actually
wow.
a different model. Um,
That's
so
interesting.
make sure you get your implant card. Like, you probably have it in a registry somewhere. So,
Probably. You
because
probably
if
have
it
to look
ever,
around.
yeah, especially when you got it in 22. So you want to make sure you locate that, because if you ever do have contracture or rupture within that 10-year limit and you go and say, hey, I need to have this taken care of, they'll ask you for that info, or they'll look you up in the database, and then they'll give you a number back at which which the company, Allergan or Mentor, whoever did whoever made your implant, they will pay for a part of the explant and cover the new implant that goes in. So you'll probably pay a surgeon fee and like a little bit of anesthesiology fee, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's like,
That's great
definitely find
info.
that.
I will definitely
Definitely
look
find that,
around
because
for that after we're done here.
right, you don't want to have to pay more than you have. So do
Absolutely.
you know about how much you paid for your surgery, and like after all like the consult fees and all that?
Yes. For my breast augmentation, I
Mm-hmm.
paid I got it on a deal and I paid just I my like deal price was 65, but I ended up paying
Okay.
just roughly under 7 with all my fees and everything,
Okay.
so yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty like typical, about 65, 7,000. And
Yeah.
then like labiaplasty, I never had to research it. I really don't know. Like, how much is that?
I was about to say I got mine done in 2015. So this is
Okay.
also like 10 years ago, but mine was
Inflation.
5 grand on the dot and it was here in
Okay.
Charlotte. So actually it's like so I was surprised because usually in like smaller cities it's a lot more expensive. Like I looked at getting my breast done here and it was like 10, 15. And I can't
Really?
imagine what labiaplasty would be today.
Yeah, okay. Good to know. This is so fascinating. Like,
Yeah.
it's just funny to hear how everyone approaches their surgery, their procedure,
Yeah.
differently, and like the different things that you find along the way. I had never considered like making sure that my doctors had insurance. So,
Oh, I
um,
know, right? Didn't
So
think you have to.
overall, I know, right? So overall, like both of your surgeries, they went pretty well. You didn't have any complications. There was nothing that like was
No,
unexpected.
I mean, with my labiaplasty, I had a few stitches pop. I had 11
Ooh.
stitches on each side, and, I was young and I was not following directions, so I was just a silly girl.
I can imagine it's very hard to be safe in that area.
Yes.
And even your boobs, like I had T-Rex syndrome for like 4 days. Like I couldn't do anything but like lift my arms at like you
Yeah.
just you feel completely incapacitated for a couple days. How long did the labiaplasty like put you down?
Honestly, I had it done on the 17th and I was doing activities by New Year's. So I mean
Activities,
but
air
yeah,
quotes.
activities. Yeah, but I would say I was fully recovered, like stitches out, like roughly right after my birthday, so like roughly by the beginning of February. So, 8
Okay,
weeks it was like pretty much completely healed.
so those were not dissolvable stitches?
They were dissolvable stitches, but
Okay.
they for well for the bottom part, the top part, I actually had to go back in. There's just
Oh, okay.
I had a lot more labia, so like they had a
Uh-huh.
lot more significant stitching at the top versus my bottom
Uh-huh.
ones. So,
Ouch. You are
ow.
like such a hero. Ooh. I like, even when I'm getting waxed, I'm like, please don't go to that spot. Just skip it. Just skip it this time. I just can't do it.
I've been like Brazilian waxing for like ever, so I feel like waxing is like easy peasy.
You're a soldier. Oh my God. I just want to ask you like a couple more questions. Overall, do you feel like you got the outcome that you were looking for in all of your procedures?
I feel like all of my procedures, I got exactly what I wanted. I
Nice.
feel like I really loved the doctors that I talked to, even the one when I was younger. Like, I feel like when I went under, even though I feel like you always have a little bit of nerves, I feel like you can never not go under and not feel like so nervous. Like, my
Thank you for
anesthesiologist is
saying
always
that.
like so concerned, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm just
Mhm.
like terrified.
Right? Every time. Every time. So actually about that anesthesiology, did you have a general for every one of your procedures?
I did. Well, I'm
Yeah.
not positive about my labia. It's just so long ago, I can't remember. But I do know for my lipo and for my breast aug, I had general.
Yeah. So for the listeners, sometimes you get an option to choose. There's different kind of tiers of anesthesiology, and general anesthesia is the most expensive. And there's like side effects that you can get with both or all of them. There's local, which is just local injections, and then there's like local with some sedative. And then there's what they call a twilight, which is an IV. So you get an IV, and they give you something to relax you and take away the anxiety, and they sedate you so heavily that you're basically asleep, but you can wake up, and that happened to me. But you're not supposed to feel pain or remember it. But when they did my twilight, I did feel pain, and that was during my breast aug, and I remembered it. So they didn't give me enough of whatever that drug was to like actually sedate me to the level I need to be sedated, or maybe it was the anxiety. And then there's general, which it's an IV. They give you like it's like paralytic painkiller, and you're fully unconscious, and then they give you like a breathing tube because you can't really breathe on your own. So a lot of times people don't like the idea of doing that. But I've been reading recently that there's actually more risks with doing a twilight than there is with doing a general. So it's worth looking into in your process of researching how you want your procedure to go, to consider, maybe for this one, a twilight is okay. I don't really need to be under. And this one, I definitely want to be under. And it really depends on how invasive your procedure is. But a breast aug, I'd say, is pretty invasive.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say, I would say so is like lipo. Honestly, I feel as though
Yes.
also you have to take into account if you're a smoker. I'm a huge smoker. I smoke every single day.
Mm,
So when I was talking about anesthesia, at least for my lipo, my breast, they were like, you definitely want to do general. You do not want to risk
yeah.
it because you could wake up. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is not a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I
it'll
can
give you
imagine.
anxiety every
That sounds
time.
terrifying. I can't. You're a trooper. You're a soldier. Like, what an
Well, it's
experience.
funny because, I didn't remember it until like, you after surgery, you're just a mess. You're just
Yeah.
ugh, like, and then you get back to normal life, and then you start having like I started having feelings of like, was I dreaming? No, I definitely was talking. I was talking to the doctor, and I remember hearing things, and then it takes like a couple
Your
months, and 6 months
subconscious.
later, I'm like freaked out about the next time I have to have surgery. I'm like, I don't want to ever go this again. So it's
That's
just
like
it's
my
good to
biggest
know,
fear.
like.
Every time I go
Mhm.
under anesthesia, that's my biggest fear. So you lived it.
It's normal. It's normal to have those. I've never talked to anyone that was like, yeah, I'm surgery, I'm fine about it. Everyone is going to be sweaty palmed and shaking, and a good team, a surgical team is going to give you those. They're going to give you a couple anti-anxiety meds before when you're checking in and you're changing into your gown and all that. So it's all designed to take you slowly through the process, and they put you in the gurney, and then they put the IV in, and then they give you something. But a good anesthesiology team will never tell you when they give it to you. Mine was talking to me, and all of a sudden I felt the walls go like this, and I was like, "Oh, that must be Demerol. I don't know what is that." But once you've gone through it a couple times, you kind of know at what point. But a good anesthesiologist should never tell you, "I'm about to knock you out now," because that'll make your anxiety go way up.
Yeah, go way up,
It's good
right?
to, yeah, it's good to know. Talk to people, every
Yeah.
time, because every procedure is going to go a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to ask you a couple more questions. Is there anything that you wish that you would have known with your lipo? We didn't really talk about lipo as much, so feel free to go into that more. Your breast aug or labiaplasty. Is there anything that you
Lipo is
wish you
actually
would
the
have
only
known?
one I had a bad experience. So not a
Really?
terrible,
Oh,
not
give
a
it to
terrible
us.
experience, but I will tell you, I will tell you. I did not. this was my first major cosmetic surgery as an adult. So I had my breast augmentation a year after this. So like I was much more aware of what I need to be asking. I also had it with the same doctor, so I was kind of aware of what to expect going into the office and everything. So my first one, I just was completely in the dark. I really had no idea, and I assumed that my medication got sent. I just assumed that it was sent over, and my younger sister was taking care of me, and I just assumed that she probably was well read enough to realize what she was reading. But I actually was only taking allergy medication, and for my first 24 hours after lipo, and so I was completely no pain medication, absolutely
Oh
no.
no.
After lipo, like
Ooh.
I was dying. I was calling my doctor's office like, I need help.
So
um,
usually you pick it up before the surgery. With my
I,
last one, I forgot, so I had to have my partner go get it. But usually you're supposed to pick it up the day before.
they
So
didn't.
what happened? Like
They didn't. For some reason, they told me that because it was a narcotic, that I was only allowed to pick it up. I guess maybe that's just Georgia. Just because I haven't
Okay.
done it, and maybe that's just their rules or something there. But they told me I wasn't allowed to pick up my narcotics until after I had my surgery. That they would send it in. I don't know what happened, mix up, whatever. They never sent it in. So when my sister went to pick it up, assuming that she was picking up my narcotics, she'd only picked up the allergy medication that that doctor had prescribed to help ward off like infection. And I was
Yeah.
like dying. I'm popping allergy medication. Like, why isn't this working?
Oh,
Like,
no, you need the oxycodone.
yeah. So like, I think that just like being aware of everything that you're supposed to do, talking to your support team, making sure like, hey,
Hmm.
when you read the bottle, this is what, because they did print out my medication list for me at least. So I could have maybe talked to her better about like, hey, this is what the bottle should
Hmm.
say. If this isn't here, we need to make sure this is here, and like really knowing exactly what I need to be taking, when I need to be taking it, and having food ready for right after surgery would have been a lifesaver, because I went to Burger King right after
Yes.
because I was dying, and I didn't have anything prepped. I know.
Well, you're just like so hungry because you can't eat the night
So
before,
hungry.
and you're
So hungry.
dehydrated, and you're probably puking up whatever nothing is in your stomach but meds.
And your body's like
Oh my God.
refilling from all the blood getting cold, and like you're like,
Yeah.
I need something.
So for those of you listening, make sure that you do some meal prep so that honestly, you should have like 3 to 4 days worth of meals, because you're not going to want to do anything. And you also make sure that anything that you normally have to reach, I'm talking about for the breast aug, reach overhead for, put it down on a counter that's at like hip height, elbow height, because you can't do anything. You just, I didn't think about that. I'm like trying to reach for glasses. I'm like, oh God, I can't do anything. And you want to make sure that you have someone that can attend to you. I personally, on this surgery, which has been my most painful and longest recovery, I couldn't lay down. So I realized I had to prop myself up with pillows, and I had to kind of halfway sleep, like up like this, and major back pain. I wish that I would have had one of those lazy boy chairs that just has like the mechanical button on it to just go up and down. So if you don't have one of those, you're gonna have to have someone pick you up. You're gonna have to have someone cook for you if you didn't plan your meals out ahead of time. A lot of it is preparation because you can't do much at all after. And I can imagine with lipo, it's got to be very similar. Sleeping has
have
to be uncomfortable.
Have you had all your surgeries in the city that you live?
Yes, I have. I'm curious for you. Did you stay in a hotel for a few days, or did you
Yeah,
drive
so
straight
every
back?
surgery that I've had has, except for my
Hmm.
labiaplasty, has been
Hmm.
outside of where I live. And so staying in a hotel and prepping is very different, especially if you're like me,
Hmm.
like my first surgery, I'm cutting down on cost. The first night I didn't even stay in a hotel. I like stayed at a 24-hour spa that I could sleep in so that I didn't have to pay for one extra night.
Oh my God, like a
I
king
know.
spa?
No,
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
J2 in Atlanta. But similar to
Okay.
King
Oh yeah,
Spa.
similar. Yeah. So okay, so did you have a little like mini fridge in your room
Yeah, so we
for
had a
meal
mini
prep? Okay,
fridge,
yeah.
and that's part of the reason that meal prepping wasn't, well, first of all, it was my first surgery, so it wasn't on my mind, but also like, it just wouldn't have made sense at that time. But for my second one, I like made sure that I pre-ordered my soup, that it was like my DoorDash was getting there when I was like arriving, so that I had like warm, like like very hearty soup for me like when I got out of my surgery and things. So like, and then I also just made sure that I had like my little mini fridge stocked up with like electrolytes and like just little snacking things since I couldn't really have like meal preps, if that makes sense, you know?
Yes. Yes,
So
all of like you've lost a lot of nutrients and you've probably thrown up a lot.
a
So
lot.
it's all about keeping it soft and nourishing yourself and making sure that you have support and help. Um, do you have anything else that you want to share that we didn't cover before we wrap?
Just make sure that your car is comfortable before you get in it. Make sure it's set up exactly how you want it for when you get out, because nothing's worse than like trying to put your pillows behind you when you're just getting out of surgery.
Yes. Yes, I
That's
100%
right.
that you can't reach behind yourself. No, yeah. And pillow, I don't know about you, but pillows felt like they weighed like 30 pounds to me. It just,
Yes. Oh
yeah.
my gosh, yes.
Um, this has been so great, Selena. It's
Yes.
just been so wonderful to share this experience with you. In hindsight, it's all kind of funny, but at the time, it's pretty serious. And I hope that listeners understand they get that part of it as well. It is a serious thing. It's a lot of homework, but ultimately, it was worth it, right?
I feel very happy.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
sharing your experience with me as well, Lisa. I feel like I've already learned from you. I'm gonna go get my warranty card as soon as I get out of here.
Please go get it. You never know what's going to happen.
I know, right?
um,
But
well,
thank you for
I'm
having
so
me
glad we
on.
got
It
to
was
meet.
great to meet you.
Yeah. How do we find you for people that want to
um,
follow you on Instagram or anywhere else?
yes, you can follow me on pretty much any social media at Selena Mendoza. Just
Selena Mendoza.
yes.
All right, we will look you up.
All right.
It's been great.
Thank you
Have
so
a great
much. You
day.
guys have a
Bye.
wonderful day. Okay. Bye bye.
Well, that was very fun.
That was fun. She's
That was
cool.
great. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
so much fun, so bubbly and so like interesting and knowledgeable. Um I was having a blast over here just listening and watching. It looked like you were having a lot of fun. It must feel really good to have a conversation with somebody else who's been through like similar things as
hmm
you.
Yeah. For me, it's almost like I've lived one life, and then when I had my procedure, I became another person. And I think a lot of us feel that way. I don't know
Okay.
what it's like to be in our industry, and because I had all my procedures done before the industry. So I don't have like a basis of comparison on like what it would feel like, personally to, see that change in myself. But
Yeah.
definitely you can feel the confidence that comes through that, and it's more than just about the aesthetics, like she was saying. It's you really just it's kind of you kind of settle with yourself, like now I'm in my body. um, it's a good feeling.
Yeah. I mean, you just had your procedure 3 weeks ago. And just for the audience to understand timeline, this is January 30th is this recording.
hmm
And like, so do you feel that now after
Totally.
this surgery? Okay.
Yes, honestly. So my first breast aug back in 2007, I think it was. I'm trying to remember. I wish I wrote this stuff down back then. I was very bruised and like, oh, it was ugly, and I was kind of
Mm,
depressed when I opened my compression bra. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? This
uh,
time, they give you medications now to help minimize that kind of stuff. So I can actually see my results immediately. And I was aware that there was, some swelling, some water retention, and even with the water retention, I could still tell this is a huge improvement. My my last revision ended up in a rupture, and they had never done the procedure properly. After talking to my current doctor, some things were done improperly, and that's why we decided to go and put them like under the gland instead of under the muscle. And
right.
I had like a severe crease where my muscle was squeezing the implant on my left side, which is probably what caused the rupture originally. And just, it did not look right. I had two different boobs. And because I already
Okay.
had such a huge size discrepancy, and I have a congenital defect, it's called tuberous asymmetry, where the lower pole, so it's like the underside of your boob, like the teardrop part of it, the skin never fully stretched. So all of the upper pole had kind of folded over on it, and
Mhm.
they call it Snoopy boob, or like triangle
Snoopy
boob.
boob, like the
Yeah,
dog?
yeah, like
And
Snoopy's
this is
nose.
all stuff that you're going to get into when you break
Yeah,
down your full story, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Snoopy boob.
Yeah. But so there was just a lot of issues. I could never wear normal underwire bra because it would always move to that side. And I
Those are
wore
gross anyway.
they suck.
Blech.
Yeah, so I actually have to go bra shopping on Saturday because in order to fix my problem, I had to go up a little bit, and now I'm no longer 36C, I'm a 36D, and I'm like, well, this is fun.
Sick.
But yeah, it's just great to hear someone else's story and also get those little tidbits of information. Like I never
Totally.
thought to look for like insurance, see if my doctor was insured. And you have to be careful because a lot of these boutique are like the doctors that aren't working in hospital settings. They're working
Yeah.
like a little clinic, you gotta be careful because a lot of them are able to kind of circumvent those things like having insurance or having the right accreditations. I learned a lot about one of the doctors that I talked to from another doctor that I talked to later, that he wasn't even a real plastic surgeon and he was going to do the very same procedure that I had done with a real
good.
surgeon.
Yeah.
That guy should be he should be fired. He should no longer do work anymore.
Research. I mean, and that
Research.
also like her $8,000 loss, like that's a massive loss, I mean, I've made huge money making mistakes too. So, but it's just like, you don't want to do that. So like, it's so good that we can learn from each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That resolve and like always walk away. If you're not sure, if you don't feel safe, it's
Which
better
was
to walk
smart
away.
on her part. Even though it's $8,000, her body is way more important than $8,000. So I'm glad that she took that route. So this is so interesting, Lisa. I can't wait for more guests. I think this is rad. So you guys were awesome. Yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. Should we close out?
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. And please remember to like, subscribe, and rate our podcast.
YAS Podcast is produced by YAS Work, which is a nonprofit dedicated to educating and entertaining audiences about sex work through media. Learn more about how you can get involved in the podcast and our organization by visiting yaswork.org. That's YASWORK.org.